All right, it's just time for somebody to suck it up and donate an entire leg to David Bakhtiari. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. No, seriously, someone just donate like a knee, tendons, ACL, maybe some beer just for well wishes. Grossi. And today we're going to be talking about the news that occurred over the weekend this past Saturday, and that was David Bakhtiari, the all-star left tackle, being placed on the physically unable to perform list, otherwise known as the PUP list. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new Patreon and YouTube members. First, on the Patreon side of things, we have Franklin Verone, a big shout out and thank you to you. And over on the YouTube member side of things, joining the Grossi Posse Plus, we have Jonathan Bordeaux, we have Double A Gaming, we have DYL Studio, and YouTube channel. A big shout out and thank you to you all. So I kind of just wanted to clarify what this meant, because this is a different PUP list than it is for the regular season. This is more just for camp, so there's different restrictions and rules and limitations and some good stuff that goes along with that. And on top of that, look at if we have a potential serious problem here on what a timeline for David Bakhtiari is. If, for example, you go on to Twitter, and even though it's not a real place, and you look underneath the Packers announcing that they're putting him on the PUP list, there are a ton of people who are saying we should trade him, cut him, the career's over, the whole 9 yards. And to be completely honest, none of us really know the extent of the situation. The facts are that David Bakhtiari did tear his ACL in practice on December 31st of 2020, and realistically this could have cost us 2 Super Bowl runs. Unfortunately, since that time he's only played less than 30 snaps, and that was in the regular season finale game last season against the Detroit Lions, and he has not been back since. This past June, Matt LaFleur kind of expressed some optimism that they were going to have David Bakhtiari ready for camp. They kept him out of OTAs, and the quote here from Matt LaFleur was, "We fully expect him to be ready to go, but you know we did last year as well. I think time will tell. We feel good about the work that he's put in and where he's at." And then you had some names that were put on the PUP list, like, for example, our brand new wide receiver, Christian Watson. That's for a minor issue, but you have guys like Elton Jenkins, Robert Tonyan, who are still on that, who are recovering from their own injuries. And because David Bakhtiari wasn't originally put on that list, there was kind of a, oh, he's ready to go. And then unfortunately he was put on this Saturday. Now, to explain what I said before about being different PUP lists, when you put a player on the PUP list during the season, you can't take him off for a certain amount of time. That is not the case before the season. So right now, being placed on the PUP list really doesn't mean a whole lot. It doesn't look good, and it's not a great development, but the Green Bay Packers can take David Bakhtiari off that list at any point. He can play preseason games and be ready to go. The question is, when will he actually be ready? And there are some causes for concern because this is not relatively normal. David Bakhtiari did an interview with Cheesehead TV after last season and spoke about at length the amount of kind of torture he went through, in which they were constantly draining liquid from his knee. He had to get an additional surgery last fall. We don't know if he got any follow-up surgeries in this past offseason, but the fact is that David Bakhtiari is just not ready. Now, from an optimist point of view, you could say this is the Packers just being super careful, like they have a tendency to do, and maybe he can still be ready for the beginning of the season. But the point is that we do not know. Now, I will say that I don't agree with the whole trade him, it's the end of the world, what have you, because I don't think anyone has the answer there. Just because you don't know doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of his career and he's not going to take another snap for the Green Bay Packers. In addition, if Elton Jenkins is able to return and he is healthy, he can swing over to left tackle. And while there are other places that he could play, I mean, hell, he could be our right tackle. The Green Bay Packers have also drafted a number of offensive linemen these past 2 drafts. And I don't want to say it was to replace David Bakhtiari, because I don't think that's the case, but I think it's a, hey, we need to make sure that this unit along the line remains healthy and we have some depth there. Now, the team will be, of course, much better if David Bakhtiari is ready to go, because that means that a guy like Elgton Jenkins can move where he needs to. So I'm not going to freak out just yet because we just don't have enough information on David Bakhtiari. I'm sure Matt LaFleur is going to get plenty of questions as training camp is down the block, around the corner. Just like the Packers, we are just going to have to wait and see how David Bakhtiari progresses. Hopefully, as we do have a little bit over a month to go until the regular season kicks off, maybe that will be enough time for David Bakhtiari to go. Or hell, even if he is available halfway through this season, that would still be a big boost to this offensive line. So him being placed on the PUP list right now doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that he's not ready to go week 1. It just means that he's not ready right now, and we'll just have to wait and see when he's going to be. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or TomGrossiComedy, all social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.